Hi everyone, welcome to your supernatural sleep story. ASMR, where I tell you a bedtime story surrounding the supernatural, all while doing your favorite ASMR triggers. If you love ASMR, like me, and you love spooky stories, also like me, I highly suggest you hit that subscribe button so I can keep making content for you. Please don't hesitate to email me with stories you want me to cover. Let's close our eyes and listen to your supernatural sleep story. Our story begins at the Crescent Hotel and Spa, which is one of the more infamously known haunted hotels in America. From body parts stored in jars to archaeological digs to apparitions caught on camera, this is a pretty wild story. So strap in. This hotel was built in 1886. I want us to just take a moment and look at that photo. You know how some places you can just look at and you're like, there's for sure at least one ghost in there, like for sure I know it for a fact. That's this building. I was looking at this image and I was like, of course there's a ghost in there. There's gotta be. Makes sense. Checks out. Located in Eureka Springs, Arkansas, this building went through many facets before becoming the very well-known hotel and spa that it is today. This building started off as a hotel actually, but only for the wealthy. But I don't know why I'm laughing. I don't know why that's funny, but it is. But yeah, started off as a hotel for the wealthy, but very quickly financially just crumbled. It was right after the Great Depression in the US, so makes sense. However, in 1908, it did reopen as, not as a hotel, but as a college and conservatory for young women in the US called Crescent College. In 1924, it did close down again, and it basically just kept reopening and closing as different hotels and colleges throughout the years. However, this is where the story gets a little bit interesting. So in 1937, it was bought and under a new owner by a man named Norman G. Baker. Now, this fucking guy, honestly, he's a big jerk is what he is. I think, and a lot of paranormal experts seem to agree, that this is where a lot of the paranormal activity stems from, just due to the amount of pain, both like emotional and physical, that Norman Baker caused his patients. So he actually reopened this building, not as a college or a hotel, but as a hospital, which you would think would be a good thing, but no. This wasn't the first hospital this man had tried to open. Norman Baker actually opened his first hospital in the state of Iowa, claiming he had the cure for cancer. However, he was very, very quickly labeled a quack. He was quickly labeled a quack by the Journal of the American Medical Association. Essentially, Norman Baker, the Journal of the American Medical Association, or JAMA, and the Iowa Supreme Court all went back and forth. They would call Norman Baker a quack. Norman Baker would be like, shut up, no I'm not. Anyway, it wasn't long before the Iowa Supreme Court filed charges against Norman Baker, and they won. They basically kind of like booted him out of Iowa, which like good riddance, because this man sucks. It didn't really take long for Norman to recover from that. He was an inventor, a millionaire, and a really, really large radio personality of the time. So he actually ended up going to Arkansas. And this is where he would build or open his second hospital. He really fancied himself as a medical expert, despite having no medical education or training. When he opened this hospital, again, second hospital that he has opened, he once again claimed that he had the cure for cancer. People who were literally like sick, dying, and incredibly desperate to save their own lives or to save a family member's life, came to Norman Baker and came to this hospital under the impression that they would be cured of cancer. What was Norman Baker's cure for cancer, you might ask? Great question. His cancer cure was corn silk, watermelon seeds, clover water, and carbolic acid. I didn't know what carbolic acid was, so I had to look it up. I was surprised to find that it actually is used in the medical industry, but it's used to sterilize instruments and like for post-surgical dressings. But if ingested, or in this case, injected, yep, that's right, Norman Baker would combine these elements together and inject his cancer patients with it. But in this case, injected, it is a poison, so it can cause severe pain and a lot of times, unfortunately, death. We'll get into it a little bit more, but if I was a ghost, I would for sure be so pissed. As you can imagine, sadly, a lot of people died under the care of Norman Baker. This is where a large number of the hotel ghosts stem from, is all from underneath this one owner and self-proclaimed medical doctor. But during this time, and this is important, so remember this, during this time, Norman Baker added on, or he built on to the hospital an additional room, which would become the morgue. So basically, after these people would pass away or people would die, he would take their bodies and then store them in the morgue. And things get more morbid than that. After Norman started catching federal charges, which, like, thank God, after he started catching federal charges, this left what was then a hospital without an owner. Now the hospital was bought in 1946 by 4 different owners: John R. Constantine, Herbert Byfield, Herbert E. Shutter, and Dwight Nichols. In 1967, the building sadly ended up burning down. 3 out of the 4 owners actually died. I couldn't find if they died like in the fire, like if they perished in the fire, or if they just died of other causes or natural causes. But eventually the building burned down, and then there was only 1 owner left, and that was Dwight Nichols. Luckily, a husband and wife by the names of Marty and Elise Rognick, I think is how you say their last name, Rognick. They bought the building in 1997. They bought it, they built it, they renovated it, and it is still under Elise Rognick's ownership. Rognick's, who knows? Other people know, I don't know. It's still under her ownership. Her husband, Marty, sadly passed away, but she does still own the building to this day, and they built it into the Crescent Hotel and Spa as we know it. During this time, they gave the building a renovation, not only physically, but they really embraced and capitalized on the paranormal occurrences that had been occurring in this hotel up to this point. Not only have numerous people died, but it's also gone through so many openings and closings and reopenings again. Combined with its really dark past, it makes perfect sense why this is one of the most haunted hotels in America. During the 1800s, a man named Michael, who was an Irish stonemason, died in this hotel. He sadly fell to his death while building the hotel, but it's said that his presence still lingers in room 218. It was known that Michael, who was 17, by the way, Michael was a little bit of a flirt. He's a little bit of a flirt with the ladies. And apparently he was leaning over a railing, and I guess he leaned too far and like fell off over the railing down to his death. I don't know. I couldn't get a clear answer on this, but I don't know if he was just like leaning out, like there were women across the way, and he was like, "Hey, ladies," and then like fell, or maybe he was like conversing with like the ladies and they were right here, and he went to like lean back on the railing and like he, like trying to be like cool, and then he like leaned back too far and like, you know, went back. I don't know. Those are my hypotheses. Michael is said to be one of the oldest and most active spirits in this hotel. He has been known to flip lights on and off, like, and then unlock balcony doors and then fling them open dramatically, which, like, me too. If I was a ghost, I would do that, just like for dramatic effect. And then the third thing that he does is he likes, while their guests are laying in the bed, he likes to just knock on the headboard while guests are laying in bed. That's hilarious. Okay, but quick aside, could you imagine, like, if you and your, like, significant other, if you guys were, like, you know, getting close and comfortable, you know, I can't wink. I'm still bad at winking. You know what I'm talking about. You know, you and your significant other spending some quality time together. You're in the bed, and then you just hear, hey guys. Honestly, like, poor Michael, though. Like, he was just trying to flirt with some women, and he died for it. So if any of you out there are scared to, you know, talk to or start a conversation with someone that you like or have a crush on, just know that some people have died for less. Maybe that can be your moral of the story. A few more other commonly seen spirits include a woman named Theodora, who is often seen around room 419. She can be seen just fiddling with her keys. And she also, get this, Theodora picks up after the other guests. How nice of her. Like, she's not getting paid. She's just doing it out of the kindness of her sweet little heart. She's like helping other people with their jobs. She's really pulling her weight. Theodora was actually, sadly, one of Norman Baker's cancer patients, and that's how she died in the hotel. Sad. Another spirit that they commonly see is a child that they call Brecky. Brecky was staying at this hotel with his parents when he unfortunately passed away due to appendicitis complications. It is said that he kind of moves around the hotel wherever other children are staying. Like, so he wants to be by other children, and he is seen bouncing a ball around the hotel. Other children who have stayed in the hotel with their parents will come back to their parents and say that they were playing ball with a little boy who had blonde curly hair and weird clothes. The fourth most commonly seen or interacted with spirit is Dr. Fremont Ellis. Dr. John Fremont Ellis, who was an in-house doctor in the late 19th century. So his office, when he was, you know, in-house doctoring, his office is now room 212, which is when people kind of interact with him the most. In numerous areas of the hotel, or on the ghost tours, or in room 212, people can smell cherry tobacco, which the doctor was very well known for smoking. However, the hotel itself has been a non-smoking property for years. So people will just be on ghost tours or roaming the hotel streets and they will they'll smell. They don't see the cherry tobacco, but they smell it. They will smell the cherry tobacco. They'll like walk into a waft of cherry tobacco. That was the worst description. And last, but certainly not least, is the hotel manager, the general hotel manager of the 1970s, Mr. Morris the cat. Morris was an orange tabby cat, and when he passed away, over 80 people attended his burial. That is so cute. And still today, when people stay at the hotel, they say they can like feel a cat just brushing up against their legs. And then they'll look down and nothing's there. Worth it. I would 110% stay at this hotel just for some ghostly kitty rubbins. Many paranormal experiences have happened on the hotel, especially during the nightly ghost tours that they offer. For example, one woman saw a man with a buzz cut walk past her and say, "But what about my treatment?" And at the same time, 2 other people on the ghost tour saw a man just blur past their peripheral. Spooky. And on the 3rd floor, people will be in their respective hotel rooms, and they'll hear squeaking wheels outside of their door. And when they open the door, they'll see a nurse wheeling a gurney, that like holds dead people bodies. They'll see a nurse wheeling a gurney down the hallway, and then she'll vanish into thin air. So many experiences are things that people have seen, have smelled, have heard, while staying in the hotel. But there are also many experiences or reports of people being physically affected by as well. Numerous people have reported just having like goosebumps for no reason, all of a sudden getting chills. There's even one woman who was on a ghost tour. They were about to head up some stairs, and at the bottom of the stairs she said she felt a chill, and she got really, really bad goosebumps, and she had a really hard time breathing, only to find out that a little girl had fallen over the 4th story railing and plummeted to her death, and then died in that exact spot that woman was staying in. Perhaps the creepiest area of the hotel is the morgue. You all remember Mr. Norman Baker, right? Class A guy. And the morgue that he built? This was the area where all the dead bodies were stored when the injections didn't go so hot. It is also where Norman Baker would keep body parts of his dead patients stored in jars. So it's said that there's a spot on the 3rd floor during the ghost tours that people have reportedly felt super dizzy, very faint. They'll go pale, and some people have even lost just complete consciousness when standing in this spot. And in this exact spot, 3 levels down, is where the morgue is at. So people, it's like said, or it's reported that this area that people like fainted, that is like directly where the morgue is. That's like a portal, they say, or it's insinuated that that's a portal. To what? Don't know. Couldn't find that, but it's a portal. So if this wasn't bad enough, they actually ended up, after an archaeological dig in 2019, they found numerous bottles of Norman's cure. And Norman, after his patients have died, he would cut off certain parts of their bodies and store them in jars. And in 2019, these were found on the grounds of the hotel. But it's said that since then, the morgue's paranormal activity has had a huge uptick. It's just shot through the roof. So now it's said that people, when they're in the morgue, can see a dark figure, they believe of a man. So just a dark, that was like a woman, but there, dark man. But yeah, dark shadow looming in the morgue. There's now numerous cold spots in the morgue. And lots of reports of people just walking through a spa and just instantly feeling nauseous, and even reports of people being touched. Icky. If you are brave enough when you stay at the Crescent Hotel and Spa, you are allowed to sleep down in the morgue. Again, if you're brave enough, I would not. Like, can I just cuddle with a ghost kitty and then like leave the next day? I would not be staying in the hotel morgue. With that all being said, what do you guys think? Would you stay at the hotel? Where, if you would you sleep down in the morgue? Not me. Also, who would you most want to interact with? I think we all know for me it'd be Mr. Morris, the orange tabby cat. Anyway, let me know what you think of this new little segment. I hope that it was informative and fun and also just a little relaxing. I hope that you sleep well, and I will see you soon. Good night.